Let's go to Russia!
The Russian Federation, better known as Russia, is the largest country in the world. It takes up 11.46% of the Earth's land area. Wow! The country is surrounded by 12 seas and 3 oceans, the Arctic in the north, the Atlantic in the west, and the Pacific in the east. It is home to thousands of rivers and approximately 2 million lakes, so there's a very rare chance of dehydration. LOL. As of 2010, the population was 142,905,200 people. Russia has 83 federal subjects equivalent to states in America. There are 2 cities of great federal importance: Moscow, the capital of Russia, which has a population of more than 11 million, and St. Petersburg, the second largest city in Russia. It's sometimes referred to as a northern capital, with a population of around 5 million. 80% of the population is ethnic Russians. The remaining 20% includes more than 150 nationalities. The average life expectancy for men is 63 years and for women 75 years. The official language is Russian. The majority of the people are Orthodox Christians, but many are Muslims, Catholics, Hebrews, Buddhists, and the list goes on. Russia is a democratic federative state with a republican form of government. The head of the state is the president, who every 6 years is elected by the citizens. The current Russian president is Vladimir Putin, and he is also the supreme commander of the country's armed forces. The government is ruled by Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, who is the head of the executive power. Russian style is very individualized. It fluctuates from eye-appealing to flamboyant, with a constant emphasis on warm, rich fabrics and bright colors. Russian clothing is usually made from insulating fabrics for cold weather wear, such as wool, leather, and fur, with long sleeves and head coverings in the form of capes, hoods, and hats. In pre-industrial Russia, poor women and girls wore detailed dresses called sarafans, with a corset, long skirt, long sleeves, and usually some type of floral or checkered pattern. Women wore a headdress known as a kokoshnik. Men wore tall wool or fur papaka hats, protecting their heads, used as a status symbol. These garments are still worn occasionally throughout Russia on special occasions. Today, Russian clothing tends to fall back behind those of the rest of the Western world, with styles that were popular around 10 years ago. Clothing styles differ by region in Russia due to its size, with a lot of Western influence.
There are many breathtaking sights and natural landmarks in Russia that you can see. Lake Baikal is the most famous of all natural landscapes in Russia. It is the deepest and oldest lake in the world and offers great travel, where you can see many of the beautiful surroundings of the wilderness. It also offers hunting, fishing, mountain climbing, and helicopter tours. Another great tourist attraction is the Ural Mountains. This mountain range provides a great area for tourists to hike, fish, and go skiing. So if you're looking for some very fun and exhilarating experiences in Russia, you must go to the Ural Mountains. Russia is home to many delectable and traditional dishes. One of the most flavorful and unique dishes in the world is the Russian cuisine. It has been a culinary tradition for centuries and has preserved many of the nation's features, for example, the great amount of food on the table, hot and cold meals, many different fish and mushroom dishes, and adherence to bread. Traditionally, a Russian meal is made up of 3 different dishes. First, a meat soup with vegetables and grains. Second, fish or meat with garnish. And last, a beverage. One of the most famous dishes in Russia is borscht, which is beet soup. It is filled with meat and many vegetables, and if you want more flavor, you can add a drop of fresh sour cream. Another famous dish that is nothing short of delicious is blini, which are pancakes or crepes. It can also be served rolled up with many fillings like jam, cheese, onions, or even chocolate syrup.
Music is very popular in Russian culture. With an extensive background in musical history, music will always attain a significant role to Russian people. For centuries, songs were passed down orally in families. Church singing became predominant due to the spread of Christianity across Russia. As time went on, various genres came about. Famous Russian composers include Danilovsky and Glinka. They are also world-renowned. In today's day and age, pop and rock music has risen in popularity for the younger but more hip generations. For tourists who are nightlife maniacs and want to embrace the heart of Russian entertainment, Moscow and St. Petersburg is the place to be. Discos and nightclubs galore are a nightlife fantasy come true. Some of the most famous nightclubs include Boerhaus, Friday, and Propaganda. Entertainment continues with opportunities to visit must-see Russian ballet performances. With dancers such as Pavlova and Tchaikovsky, any tourist would consider this an extremely enchanting experience. Russia is the greatest place to visit for its natural and man-made attractions. If you are a die-hard traveler and have a deep appreciation for breathtaking landscapes, you must take a trip on the Trans-Siberian Railway. The full route takes you through Russia, China, and Mongolia. It is known as the longest train journey worldwide. During the Golden Buckle section of the trail, you're able to witness breathtaking views of crystal rock formations that form tunnels and arches. From walking through the forests of Komi and the Yugi-Dva National Park to visiting the volcanoes of Kamchatka, visiting one of the 30 national parks is a must. If you're in Moscow, stop by the nation's top governmental offices. The Kremlin is home to 4 cathedrals from the 15th and 16th century. Within the 250 acres, you have the opportunity of seeing the Armory, containing royal treasures, and the Diamond Fund exhibition, which is a collection of jewelry that includes a 190-carat diamond given to Catherine the Great. Wow, any girl would love to witness this sight. The Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, founded by Catherine the Great in 1764, displays highlights of the art of a collection of over 3 million items. If you enjoy awe-inspiring architecture, stroll through the heart of Moscow and visit St. Basil's Cathedral. As one of the top tourist attractions of Russia, the cathedral is a one-of-a-kind structure designed to resemble a bonfire in full flame.
Here in Russia, we love to play sports. It gives us our Russian figure.
We have always been very successful in the Olympic Games, all the way back to the Soviet era. Many other countries see us as the dominant figure of the Olympics, since it was only until a few years ago that we placed second in the total medal count. Russia's most popular sports include soccer and ice hockey. Smaller sports would be team handball, weightlifting, wrestling, gymnastics, volleyball, and rugby. Ice hockey is by far the most popular and widespread sport in Russia. There are about 78,000 hockey players in Russia, showing its popularity and importance to our country. Ice hockey is Russia's strongest sport because of the history of victories against opponent countries. Since 1992, we have won gold 4 times, silver twice, bronze twice, and have only placed above 10th once. In the Soviet era, players of the national team would receive the high-class apartments and houses. Playing for the national team is a lifelong goal of a young Russian hockey player because there is no professional Russian hockey league. Almost every player on the national team plays in the NHL, the American Hockey League. There are a total of 30 Russian hockey players in the NHL today, including 3 all-star players, Alex Ovechkin, Evgeny Malkin, and Paul Datsyuk. The last, but not least important sport in Russia would be soccer. Soccer went through a rough beginning in the Soviet era. When the USSR began to separate, so did the league. Teams were now private enterprises instead of being linked to mass organizations. The team never had as much success until recent years, when they beat the Netherlands in the quarterfinals of the Euro Cup. Russia does have several players who were taken to the English Premier League because of their talents, showing Russia's skill at soccer. Today, Russian soccer is played in a 16-team Premier League. The Russian league is placed at 7th of best leagues in Europe. The future of soccer in Russia will be represented in 2018 when Russia will host the World Cup for the first time in the country's history. Russia puts a little twist on hockey in their national sport known as bandy. It has the same rules of hockey, but is played on a 100-yard rectangle of ice with field hockey sticks and a round ball, where 11 players are on each side, including a goalkeeper, trying to score on the opponent's goal. It is the most watched sport in all of Russia. The Bandy World Championship is a worldwide tournament between countries to see who is the best bandy team in the world. Russia won 22 years straight, from 1957 to 1979, and have continued to finish in the top 2 every year since. There's also the Russian Bandy League, in which Russian cities play against each other to determine the best Russian bandy team. The sport has begun to lose followers, but still remains Russia's biggest spectator sport. So, for these reasons, the thrill, and just for happiness, come take a visit to Russia. You will not be disappointed.
5008, 5009, 5010, 5011.
If you are touring Russia during the winter months of 2014, be sure to attend the thrilling Winter Olympics in Sochi and watch history in the making. The Olympic Park of this Russian city will be built along the Black Sea. The ice events will take place in a mountain cluster within the Krasnaya Polyana Mountains.